When Richard was 5 years old, his parents handed him a packet of lettuce seeds during World War II. What happened next didn't just grow a garden. It shaped the next 80 years of his life. So I have sitting here next to me Richard, who is a very good friend of mine, probably one of the very first people I met.
Exactly, yeah.
In Destin, like 9 years ago, which is really hard to believe. And we kind of met over some unusual circumstances, and I don't think Richard knows this, but I think the fact that I met you at the time I did, 2 years later when Kip over at the Ace Hardware gave me that tomato plant.
Yes.
I was very receptive to gardening from living next to you.
We were neighbors and we had a mutual interest right off the bat.
Right off the bat, we did. And
it's progressed for 9 years.
I know, right?
Great.
It's been amazing. Well, our viewers, most of you, if you follow along, most of you know that Mrs. Bowtie is producer, and I have a production list here of stuff that I have to do, and this is an assignment I've been trying to do for 2 years, brother.
Well, we're happy that we finally got to Let's get going.
That's right. So we have a few questions I want to get through real quick because it's National Gardening Week, and that's the theme for this interview. But I want to talk about our national treasure, National Gardening Life right here, because he truly is. First question I want to ask you, what first sparked your interest in gardening and horticulture?
Well, David, it was during the Second World War.
Really?
I lived in California. I was 5 years old, and my parents put in a victory garden. Victory gardens were a common occurrence in California at the time. It was World War. Everybody was very patriotic. Everybody in my neighborhood, Napa, California, we had victory gardens. My parents took me out into our backyard and they gave me some lettuce seeds. And the ground was prepared. I planted these seeds. Within 2 weeks, there was lettuce springing up, and it made me an interest that created that has lasted my lifetime. I was amazed. I put these seeds in the ground and they sprouted.
Yeah. Wow.
At age 5.
I don't think you've ever told me that before. Well, so Victory Gardens has a very special place in my heart. Anyone who's watched all our videos knows that I've actually done a very deep dive into the Victory Gardens and what they meant. And during those 2 years, where the Victory Gardens were at their peak in the United States, over 1 billion servings of food were eaten, put away, harvested, went through that process of the Victory Gardens.
Exactly.
Over 1 billion in 2 years. That fed a lot of people.
I remember, I was only age 5.
Yeah.
But I remember it was a very patriotic thing to do.
Absolutely.
My mother and father were out there gardening too. And all of our neighbors.
I told you, this guy's pretty special.
No, just old and experienced.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. How did you become involved with the garden ministry here at the Destin Church of Christ?
Well, I was interested in the garden. I had come by this location about 6 years in a row. I was going to work. I'd come by on my bike. I saw the fact that it did not have a garden.
It didn't, did it?
and I thought to myself, I could really help these people. I have a gardening interest. I would love to volunteer. And then I met you, and I met another member, John Brockman, another member of the congregation. And you folks were so gracious to me in my personal life that I figured I would love to be associated with you, to John and the congregation and the church, and do something worthwhile. So I came to the elders and I volunteered to put in a garden.
Yeah.
I used the term, I don't know if it caught their attention, but I said, your place looks like a Walmart parking lot. It doesn't look like a garden.
Okay, let's dig into that for just a minute, because and just so you know, I'm going to be putting B-roll as we're talking along. There's going to be B-roll of the gardens, and I've got history photos, so hopefully I can find some pictures of this sign. But this sign was a dead area, a dead space. We've dug this bed out. I know it's been double dug. The whole thing's been double dug several times over the years. We did that for the mint video and some of these people that have actually watched that mint video and removing mint. That's one of my top watched videos.
Yes, you told me that.
Yes, but what are some of the treasures we dug out of this bed out here?
I don't know if they're treasures. They're more like horticultural debris and construction debris.
Yep.
It was obvious that somebody had buried a lot of construction debris. And David, I don't know if you remember, but we pulled out about 15 wheelbarrows of construction debris that a former sign had been there, and I guess they tore it down to build a new sign. But the old sign was buried.
Just left it.
Just left
Yep.
it. And then they covered it over with 6 inches of soil, which is not a horticultural
delight. Well, I know that front section out there, we dug that down 2 feet. We dug all the sand out 2 feet. And I remember we dug a hunk of bricks. It took 2 or 3 of us to lift that thing out of the ground.
Yes.
And then we laid down, it's actually an enclosed area, which is probably part of the reason that mint doesn't spread more, because of that enclosure that we did. But we also had roots.
Oh, yes.
I mean, roots as big as my leg. We had to get out, and it was a lot of work, and it was years of work, really.
Many man hours of work, hard work, preparing these beds. These beds you see today are producing because of all the work that this congregation, all the volunteers did by preparing the soil properly. And we've continued a history or procedures of improving the soil fertility every year. We add organic matter every year, and you can see the results. The plants are responding accordingly because of the soil preparation procedures that we went through.
A lot of the exact same procedures I do in my gardens, because all that horse bedding compost, I think we probably brought about 20 or 30 yards of that down here as well. And I actually have a log of all the trips that I got that in. But hopefully we're taking a year off from that this year because the equestrian center moved. Hopefully next year we're going to be starting again. So this has been a short year. I got a lot extra, and I'm it's petering out. So
yeah, the key in annual beds is to keep adding organic matter every time you plant.
Yeah.
It should be a planting procedure, is that you improve the soil, give these plants a tremendous working, growing environment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, all your work is just limited right here to this one garden. Is that right?
No, because of the nature of this garden, it has attracted a lot of people. We have constantly people coming by, traffic coming by, people observing it from the neighborhood, from the communities. We have a lot of people stopping and talking to us about the gardening, which is part of the church outreach. The purpose that the elders wanted these gardens to create was an outreach to the community, to an outreach to everybody that comes by here and sees these magnificent gardens.
And so as a result of that, I know we've made some amazing contacts. I have stood out here and prayed with someone that just drives by and says, I need some prayers right now. And I think about those times. I still think, I know God's work. God is here, and it doesn't look very impressive here. But what you got to realize, how many gardens are you doing? Let's say doing any work from pulling weeds all the way up to managing. How many gardens do you manage?
6.
Are you associated with? Yeah, 6
right now. And I have more offers. People asking me to come to their garden because of this garden.
Yep.
This attracts all kinds of people, shows interest to a lot of people.
And I know that because of this, we reach out we have other people that go out. Like I know the youth group went out. And how many other gardens in the past, say, 5 years that we've been doing this, do you think we've actually affected?
Well, we've affected hundreds.
I would say, easily.
And that we've affected thousands of people.
Yes. Yep.
Because we have people traveling by here every day. On a given day, I can be out here gardening on my hands and knees, and I'll talk to 6 people. 6 people will stop and talk to me about the garden. And the garden is a tremendous opportunity to initiate conversations
Yes.
with people.
Exactly.
Well, they just don't say, "Oh, what nice flowers," but then you start talking to them about the origin of the flower, how it's planted. There's all kinds of opportunities for gardeners to outreach to people in any way that you think is appropriate.
That's right.
Any topic that you want to discuss, it's an opportunity to interject that into your conversation.
Absolutely. And I know you help with the Baptist church across the street regularly.
Yes.
You have at least consulted, I know, with the Methodist church.
I've consulted with them, and I've put in a garden for the Corpus Christi Catholic Church up the street.
Yeah, and I was working my way up to the Catholic. You've done a lot of work up there.
Yes.
A lot of work. And then all the other people that you have affected. And, that really gets down to the core of National Gardening Week,
Exactly.
So it's yeah.
Yeah, National Gardening Week is a tremendous opportunity for all our gardeners to perform outreach.
Absolutely.
To anybody that walks by your house, you might be out gardening, stop and have a conversation. It's a tremendous opportunity.
It is. It truly is. And we've already gone through 3 questions here. Can you share one memorable moment or story from working in the church gardens or with neighboring community members? Something that just stands out to you, so a favorite story.
There was an individual a couple of years ago that was homeless. He was down and out. He had just been robbed. People had taken his cell phone, his shoes, his bicycle, and he arrived here. I was gardening, and he stopped, and he said he had trouble, that he was homeless and whatever. He told me his situation. He said, "I saw your garden, I saw you, I thought I could get help because of you in the church."
Yeah.
I put him in touch with a member of the church, and he sat down and talked with him. And during the course of this conversation, this church member, he said, "I'll take off my shoes and give them to you." It was an amazing.
I wasn't sure who you were talking about, but now I know.
And this individual, he was so impressed with that and the garden and the fact that we were willing to talk to him. We got him clothes. We got him, he was injured, so we got him.
Yep.
We got first aid for him.
Yep.
And then we set him on a path to reconstruct his life.
His life, yeah.
And eventually he was clothed and took care of his injuries. And then he moved on to his hometown. And several months later, we got a letter from him saying, "Thank you. The garden attracted me." And the congregation folks helped set me straight. And he was in a recovery program. So here's an example of the very fact that you just have a garden. It attracted somebody.
Wow.
And you were there. The gardener was there. And took him into account and set him on a path that improved his life.
Absolutely. That's
an example, but that is not a lone example.
No, it's not a unique story, because I know we've had a lot of opportunities Most not as dramatic as that one, but still, just
Exactly.
when you lay down at night, you know that you're doing God's
Exactly.
work. You're living for other people. Let me just ask one last question, Richard. I know you got to get going. What would you say to someone who has never gardened before, but may be thinking about volunteering with the ministry or with something like this?
Gardening is a tremendous opportunity to volunteer. You and your community have the opportunity to perform some type of outreach. Say you're just gardening at your residence. If you're out in front gardening and you have a beautiful garden, people will be walking by, your neighbors will be walking by, walking their dogs, whatever. It's an opportunity to engage in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And people love to talk about gardening. Some people will say, "Oh, my grandmother had the greatest garden."
Mm-hmm.
I've had thousands of conversations with people that say their grandmother had the best garden going, and all you have to do is follow your grandmother.
That's right.
And start small, but it's a way to initiate beauty in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and also to present beauty in your neighborhood. And it's a rewarding volunteer.
Yeah.
You can volunteer at your church, at your community center. Everybody needs an improved garden.
Absolutely. Wow. And I know we've got a lot of people in our audience that live that. And I just respect, I know like Shawnee, over at Shawnee Grows, she teaches her kids, she homeschools. They have a huge garden and the kids are involved in it. It's part of their homeschooling. Jess over at Roots and Refuge, I know Robin Gardens involves people. She sends out so many seeds to people. Just
Yes.
to get people to start. And there's so many ways to do that. And watch some of the content that Mrs. Bowtie is getting out this week, because I know she's got a lot of brainstorming going into this week. And we'll be continuing this thought in the future.
Excellent.
So
Well, keep up the good work, and this having a whole week of gardening awareness
I know, right?
is just tremendous.
It really is. And this is a national week. And
Exactly.
the interesting thing about National Gardening Week, and normally, and most of our audience don't know, I have this thing about holidays. It's one of the reasons why we get holidays like Donut Day that came out last week, because I always know every holiday that's coming up. It was National Ecology Day and Donut Day, and one of our characters, Lord Compostington III, he's a little bit weird. He chose to honor Donut Day, so. But when they put national on there, it's a U.S. holiday. Well, National Gardening Week is not just the U.S. It's countries all around the world observe this week as National Gardening Week, and garden clubs and the International Garden Club Association. I forget the official title. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen, but this is official in a lot of countries, and it's a very impressive story. But anyway, well, Richard, I appreciate you being here.
David,
I appreciate
it's been a pleasure.
everything. I appreciate getting to know you for the past several years. It has been very interesting. Is there anything else you want to mention?
Well, just thank you for the opportunity to discuss gardening, and we appreciate all your efforts. It's been a pleasure being your friend. Thank you for being my friend.
Absolutely. And thank you for your service. So,
Sounds good.
all right. Thank you for coming along, folks.
Keep gardening.
That's right. And your garden doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Have a blessed day, friend.